last century, there were to be had 3 blacksmith shops to be had here. You know the road leaving to Llanwinio passed by?
Yes.
There's a blacksmith shop. It's an old grandfather of my missus. Well, there was a blacksmith shop here at Sarney. The old blacksmith, they carted away, you know. And another down at, you know what's Carmarthenshire? You know the road that is going to Maidlim?
Yes.
Well, there's a house, well, the first house, if there's a lane going down to go to Isha, there's a blacksmith there also. Do you want to know in particular what were they doing?
They'd be farriers mainly, were they? Yes.
You know, the blacksmith that was living here, he had a good hand in making iron for the churn. You understand me?
Yeah.
He had the same kind of a contract with Mr. Morgan from Carmarthenshire. He was a churn maker. Well, in his spare time, he used to make the irons, you know. And he was hiring a cart from a farmer to take us up to Carmarthenshire, say, once a year or so as he coming along. But now then, at the old Turkey of the missus, he was more of a like what I mean, put some steel on, we call it tirio, how can I explain to you now? You know an iron, if you wanted to take something, say, the sharp of a knife, you must have some steel in there. Well, he was the man, he used to make them pillocks, you know, and that passed by there. Well, at Blind Wine there, well, there was a good shoeing smith there for shoeing horses, you know. Well, of course, I mean to say that every Eastern blacksmith was shoeing horses, you know, but some of these blacksmiths were more like, say, a good man for shoeing a horse. And they used to put the band around the cart wheels, you know.
Yes.
You understand that?
Yes. Yes.
And making billocks and every kind of, say, farm implements, you know. Taking a bar of iron to put some point on it, taking a buttock or a pickaxe, or, I mean, they would take him to the smithy. That was the kind they were doing, say, in the old days.
Yes.
But now, say, these last 20 years, or 30 years, everything is gone. There's no work to be had on the village blacksmith now, you know.
Yes.
Well, you know what I mean. But there is some smithies now and again they to be had. His father was an expert husband of showing a horse. An expert.
Yes,
Well, there's an old man at Llanwinio there, pretty good. But he was died many years ago, you know. Yes. There was, say, there were 2 brothers over here at for selling. There were 2 there.
Carpenters.
Carpenters as
Yes.
well.
Yes.
Well, over there at the garden, there were 2 brothers there. Well, let me see now. Yeah, yes. And, of course, they take the irons, you know, to the blacksmith
Yes.
to put it together, you know. And he was bringing the wheel along, you know.
Yes.
They pitched it. The blacksmith had a big piece of iron, flat, round iron. They put the wheel on that, you know. They screw it tight. He had a little wheel then, say, like that now. And there was, say, some teeth like that all along.
Yes.
They put the mark on that one.
Yeah.
They put the mark on the wheel.
Yes.
Understand?
Yes, I do.
Well, they take it round like that, huh? until he come. That was the way that the blacksmith, I could say the one side, that was the way the blacksmiths, wanted how much tightness they had.
To set the wheel,
Yes,
the wagon
he
wheels.
could measure then by his rule what was the difference between his mark on the wheel, on the little wheel, and on the courbage,
Yeah.
It was well, of course, something was coming better. It was a good job, to what I mean is to put the two and to fix them together.
And look at the job.
I had the old blacksmith here said there was perhaps in the core that you had, it wasn't, say, a good heating core, you know what I mean?
I know.
I know he couldn't heat at the band until it comes soft enough. Well, if it happens as that, you would put the punch hole in that, and you could put them together and beat them together again.
Yes.
That was the way they do it.
Mainly with the teams abreast or teams in tandem, one behind the other.
Oh, well, the carpet put it all together, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
They used to take them to the blacksmith, and every bit of iron, that was happened in the cart, they had to take it to the blacksmith. And
Yes.
well, he gave the blacksmith his measurement in, and he put it all along,
But the carpenter made the wagon.
Oh, certainly, he made it all. The blacksmith did nothing but making the iron, and bending well, there was, what I mean to say, bull, the one. Well, that was made from an elm tree.
The bull.
Yeah, the bull.
Yes, the cog, yes. Mm.
Well, they used to cut an elm machine, cut it, say, about November, after the sap was gone down. You wonder what I mean?
Yeah.
They cut it then into a block, say, the bull size like that, well,
Yes.
big and small.
Yeah.
They put this then on these big farms, they got some place to put them, see,
Yes.
to season it,
Yes.
And, well, of course, I don't know how many years they to put it, and I don't know about that,
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen it, but I've been working at that plant traveler there for 6 years. There were 3 pairs of boots to be had there, They were well seasoned, Well, I don't know when the old time is, and I can't go back. The bowl was shaped,
Yeah.
and carved,
Yeah.
and the blacksmith was putting 2 bands on it, And by the time that I noticed, the carpenter, well, as everybody else, there was in other bands, these big firms, they invented some kind of 3 things like that, and they put it down, you carve a hole inside to put the axle in.
Yes.
But I remember an old carpenter, by the place I was brought up, he used to chisel it out.
Rather than them.
Of course, he was a little bit backward, But the carpenters, this way, they had that thing to carve the bull out,
Did they have a special wheelwright, or was it each carpenter did the whole
Well, of
thing?
course,
Was the
the
one-
horse have a special wheel, right?
Mm.
But every carpenter in the country,
Mm.
he was taught the way to put the wheel in.
Mm.
I remember one of the carpenters up there, was uncle to my missus. I said that some of these old chaps before him. Now, making a wheel is a delicate job. It, of course, the trackers now.
Yes.
Well, he told me, if you make a wheel, Tom, I dare say that you wheel, if a track it will be like that, is it? And that was in the point of putting the spokes in it,
Yeah. Yes, I
so
know.
that once you get over there, the wheel will cut along the track.
And what timber did they use for the spoke?
Oak.
Okay.
And
And
the oak.
for the tracker?
Oh no, ash.
Ash for the tracker.
Yes. But the spokes, if you had to be seasoned for 6 or 7 years. Well, the spokes and the wheel could last the wheel well, the outside and the board, they've left it out, you know.
Yes. They had 4 carpenters.
Yes.
Well, we had, what, 3 of them on Kilsan, didn't we? Brunel.
Yeah,
And
Brenna, when
Yettergard.
they were, I may say they took more pride in their work. You understand what I
I
mean?
do. Yes, yes.
And, you know, I dare say this is a strange thing for you. We've seen some old photos of these old Welsh farmers cutting the corn with a scythe.
Yes.
You know the
I've
cradle?
used one.
Yes, you know the cradle?
Yes.
There was 5 fingers in it.
Yes.
Well, not all carpenters could sew that and plane so they'd be smooth, you know. But these brothers up at when they were expert at it, they could make it, that was beauties, you know. And he could, well, of course, and well, I remember the first hundreds of they came, you know, these old country farmers, they cut it from the hedges, you know. And they could light a fire, you know, of logs.
Yes.
And if that piece of wood, it must be, say, bent a bit, or make it otherwise, they could make a straw-like thread and bound it round about and dipped it in water. They could fix it up over the fire then and just make it moist like. Well, after they've been there, say, about an hour or more, but they take it out and they put it in some, and bend it and tie it. They made a beautiful, but nobody could, yes, they bend like it. No, everybody couldn't do it, man. But some of these old craftsmen, they could put a handle in the head before cutting it.
What timber would they use?
Well, perhaps you could have a hazel one, but not likely, but a willow. Willow, but it was more tough like, and well, I seen it myself. You know, the hazel, it could break like that, you know. But a willow was, you know, it was more fiber-like.
And the other carpenters on the other side?
Yes. Well, of course, you got, what do I mean? But there's one here that, you know, there's a special kind of carpenter. You know, these mills grinding corn. There's a special kind of a carpenter. You said, one of his brothers up at William Evans Plaston, he was an, making the mill. Well, his brother was at it also, but William, he was the expert on it.
He was the specialist for the corn mill.
Yeah,
And that was the mill at Cumvellin.
yes. You know, he could understand. You've been in the mill?
Yes. I've been working them.
Well, you know the big wheel like that?
Yes.
Well, there's many blocks on it, you know. Well, those must put exactly the same distance as before on every block. And he used to go along with, you know, with his chisel, say you were splitting like that, and you cut it, you know. And enough of the pressure on that big stone to go down, he was special, and he was going, going from home, say, for a month or so, you know. He used to go down there and over Axel Lake, you know. There wasn't many of those men to be had, you know.
Now, he was the carpenter.
Yeah, he was a carpenter and
And the stonemason.
Yes, but
and he was the groover, wasn't he?
Yes,
As well.
yes.
To cut those fresh grooves in the grinding stone.
Yes, everything was, you know, well, there was, you know, the old bring with the corner, with the flowers coming down, there were ropes there.
Yes.
And these packages, now, you had to put there, to say, a single knock like that. The old stones, you know, would come down or come up. It was a particular kind of a job, you know.
A specialist.
Specialist.
Very special job. There's
I think it's now in what at Kenner.
Yes.
I was working on a farm, and there were two ladies there and a daughter. They weren't married, you know, and there was a foreman beside me. They used to take all the wheat down to Kenner to the mill. You know. He had a special kind of a machine to, growing in the wheat. There's tares, you know.
Yes.
Now, if there's tares got into the flour, the bread will be blackish, you know. They had a special kind of machine. It was like that. So the wheat will go down and the tares will go away, you know.
Separating them.
Aye. But, I know when that's net, but I dare say the mill at Clennard, they couldn't compete at it.
That's been working again. They had that one working.
Well, yeah. Well, it had been working lately.
Yes.
But,
And then it stopped. But the Fellingerry,
yes.
further over,
Yes.
it is working. You can get flour there.
No,
And they also, from the same wheel,
yeah.
the same drive wheel, they have one of the old saw pits for sawing the timber into planks.
Oh, yes, I see.
Was there a saw pit here in the parish?
Oh, yes.
did-
Over there area at Cwmllach, where they're known, Llanwinio. There was a corn mill there, but that was in the parish of Llanwinio, you know. It was in the parish of Llanwinio.
Just across the border.
Just across the border there. There was a corn mill there and a sawmill there. But the one that was working the sawmill, he was living up here at Llanwinio by the church here.
Yes.
It was the same water wheel.
Yes.
That's right, both of them, the corn mill and the sawmill.
That's down near Vellindray,
Yes,
down
Yeah.
the track behind the church.
yes. You go down,
Down.
and you turn on the left if you go
Yes.
down. But there's a good corn mill, I guess it went near.
Yes.
But
That was a water wheel again.
Yes.
Yes.
But when I came to this neighborhood, I have to go when I see this big wheel. Now the water when was going under the wheel and not on top.
And over here, it came on top, didn't it?
Aye.
Yeah.
But actually all that I saw when I was a boy, there was water running on the top. But when I went here, the water was running under it, you know, pressure. There was only blades, you know, like that.
Yes,
The
yes,
water was
yes, a paddle wheel
Yes.
rather than a bucket wheel.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, these carpenters, they were undertakers also, you see.
Yes.
Yes, they were undertakers. They made the coffins, you know, for everybody.
Now, were the coffins nearly always in wood, or did they still use stone as they had long before?
Well, as long as I can remember, they were all made of wood. But I just say, I've been over Clyde where there's a big quarry there, Glow Quarry.
I know.
Say many years ago, they used to put a stone coffin and a wooden coffin inside.
Lined it with the wood.
But Glow Quarry has closed this last 40 years ago, and they actually sometimes now they brick the grave, the graves, you know.
Yes.
The mason comes on and bricked it, and some of these undertakers, they make some wooden concrete slabs on top of that, putting the coffin down. I had some experience. Me and my brother-in-law, we used to be grave diggers at Llanwinio here for about 20 years this time, of course. But after time comes along, well, seldom, very seldom now they do brick a grave, very, very seldom. But some of these old people say they want to, but everybody young, I just say there's nothing be done at Llanwinio this last, since we left about 15 years ago. I don't think it's a big Well, they used to say this, what's the use of keeping the old body till rotten away in the coffin? What the good of it is, you know? But it was a custom in the old time.
The timber that they used, was that from trees in the parish, or was that from a sawmill outside the parish?
Well, as far as I know these brothers up at Carmarthenshire, they used to season timber themselves.
Yeah.
They would come on ask a farmer for a tree, you see, they could cut it out, you know. You ever heard about this pit that is sawing timber?
Yes.
Well, they used to do it, you know.
The brothers?
Yeah, the brothers, you see,
Yes,
they had
yes.
well, there was a pit down here at Carmarthenshire. By the way, we were going up from Bellingweather.
Yeah.
Of course, it has gone now. It's not here, it's not. And the house here, you know the house here by the schoolhouse here, the
Yes.
timber? All the timber that been at that making that house was sawn down here. Yes,
in the-
of course, I mean the timber came in big blocks like this, you know.
Yes. Yes.
I knew the old man, they said, Sar, we used to call him. It meant many days, weeks, they say, sawing timber. Making everything, the window sills and the beams and the door. The only thing that they had were those boards, well, making doors, you
Yes.
know.
That would be the only thing that came from a mill outside the parish.
Yes,
Yes.
that's the only thing.
Yes.
I remember when I was on that, there was a pit like that on my way going to school. I saw them sawing many times.
Would there have been large timbers that they were using for these saw pits? Oak? Beech?
Well, it's exactly, you know, what was in the mind of the farmer, what kind of implement, or I think the kind he wanted it, you know. Well, very rarely they saw sycamore, but an ash and an oak and an elm.
Not beech?
Eh?
Not beech?
Well, no beech. Well, they do make beech, but I heard them saying that the beech was, if it was, say, accustomed to the wind and the rain, that it rot pretty quick.
Uh-huh.
Have you heard this, a windshack in a tree? A windshack in a tree.
Yeah.
I never heard of that. Well, I heard the old people telling about it. Let me say like this now. Suppose an oak tree grew in the garden here by me. Say if that tree developed, excuse my English, will you? Suppose that tree grows pretty well and develops, say, getting high and that, say, by the time, say, that's been there, say, 60, 80, 70 years or so, more or less, you mean? Now, when they cut that tree down, you know, and say they want, say the size of a spoke, say, whatever we are.
Yeah.
If they split that, then it will split all over. You know, every tree has rings, you know, you understand?
Yeah.
And those will spring out, you know. Well, if you had an old tree now down in the dingle, and the storm or nothing will do nothing with him, that tree was guaranteed it was as well rock. I've seen it. And when I was working there with Mr. Ford on my Phyllis tank back there, many 30 years ago. And he bought a big farm over at Tamboidi there for the son, Howard. And all the timber that he had been used. So he asked Mrs. uncle, I want some tree to be seasoned, he said. And he sent his son down, and we've been at it. And there was a good tree standing just up on the top of the mud of the way there. And they called it a good tree, Tom. Yes, we cut it down and brought it home. I saw it with the hacksaw. Useless. And it was it was a fine, it was a beautiful tree. All firewood.
That,
Hardly any. And there's an old tree down on the bottom of the dingle, then big one like that. We were at it, and you know, the inside was so hard as a lacquer. you could do anything with it.
That tree had been shielded from the storm.
Yes,
It had
indeed.
been growing in the centre of a wood,
Yes.
whereas the lone specimen, which was out in the storms, was no good for anything
Yes.
but firewood.
And now, and I asked the rental, what, when it was saying it was back and forth, the wind was up like that is all the time.
Mm.
And by the time that is settled, then other wind will come and they call it wind shakes.
Winter.
And they used to excuse this. If they see a man, they say a little bit of, oh, damn it, it's wind shakes, they say.
Now, just above you here, the hooper.
Yes.
Which timber did he use?
Well, of course, that was imported timbers,
Ah,
That was Swedish.
was it?
They came across the school. There was a timber merchant over at St. Clair's. There was a big sawmill there in the old time, He used to buy and he used to keep in a ladder with 3 horses. He could haul the timber. But all the timber then had been sawn. Of course, he was keeping a sawmill himself, but he didn't hold the job.
Did it come upriver to St. Clair's?
Oh, yes.
And how would he go about making his casks for the butter?
Pardon?
How would he make the casks?
And the carpenter made.
Yes, the cooper.
Well, of course, he saw them into the actual sizes, I heard a rental say your son is coming along. The sills of the window.
Yes.
He put a piece of timber, as you say, like that. Okay, I said, you must have 4 bits out of this. He put a line like that, and he must hold like that. And perfectly perpendicular, If one goes slanted, the other will be, And that was the test, they said, that the old carpenters used to put to the boys who come in to learn the trade, Putting a piece of wood to be sewn into four pieces, and not 3, They had to do it, It was a difficult job, of course, but they had to do it, of course. They could, destroy, say, a valuable piece of timber,
Yes.
Yes.
And when they made those casks, were they used for butter only?
Huh? Pancake. They used to cut their trees, and down below you there.
Yes.
You used to come and up on the top here and on the dingle there's a big bog lake. And you used to put them down there, So when you wanted, some of them used to go there. But he had a block of ash then, and you could split it, and boil it to make it half round, and when you not half round,
True.
make like that,
Was that how they did it? Boiled in a
Yes.
big cauldron?
Yes, boil it, put in, seen some of these old brass pans?
Yes.
They put a fire in it, they put it in, they had some kind of a vest or something, and put it like that, and bend it like that, and that was a particular job, he said, that the bend was exactly the same, not one more than the other,
Yes. And then they would assemble the cask
Oh, yes,
and deliver that to the farmers
yes, well,
for
say,
butter.
well, the farmers will come along and say, hey, Tom Phillips, say, what, Tom, I want a cask, say, in about a fortnight. Well, okay, he said. Well, the farmer will come along then and fetch it,
Yes.
But everything has gone west, many years ago, Barrel Lake.
Yes.
No,
Not
that,
the tall
no,
one, not this one.
no, not that one, that all the turning.
Yes,
Well, in that, there were 3 breakers
yes.
inside.
Yes.
Well, I seen it happen. One of those breakers broke, and the butter was in. So you have to take it to the hooper then to put the new one in, you know. But in our times come, say now, these end over end chairs, you see them?
Yes.
There's no breakfast together then, is there? They were all tumbling like that, isn't it? Like that all the
Up
time.
and down with the plunger.
Yeah, with the plunger.
That was used here.
Yeah, well,
Like that, or
very,
not?
very rarely. Only once I saw it in my lifetime.
Yes, it would be a very old
Yeah.
one. But most of the butter would have been
Sent out those stone pans.
yes, for
Oh,
setting the cream.
Yes.
Yes, they're there.
Oh, they're there now.
They're there now.
Oh, they were, there's a big quarry over at Kilgarran there. And mostly, I don't know about this place, but mostly up what my way Pembrokeshire they were coming from, there were some kind of a stone that wouldn't crack. You know what I mean?
Yes.
They were making some at Glow Quarry then. But say time comes on, perhaps it'll crack, you know.
Yes.
And then it'll be no good, you know.
So
Of course, I don't mean it'll crack that you'll split. But you know,
It'll
you
leak.
can't sterilize out to the very bottom, you know.
no, they're beautiful.
Aye.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, the hole in the
Aye. And a hole inside there. You've seen them making cheese?
Yes. Did the carpenters make the cheese presses for
Oh,
them?
yes.
They were made here.
Yes, I mean, they made, yeah. Well, we had one when we were at Clongarreg, we sell it on the auction like this, you know. But when I was a boy, you see, I was brought, up, you know, mother was making cheese. I should like to have it first, you know, when you went they put in whey in it, you know. And after they mixed it, you used to have the basin full. And I was a boy working up there. So in the summer now at breakfast I go 7:45. And they go going to do the hay. The old lady comes, "Hey Tom, would you have something to eat before going to the hay?" "Yes ma'am, come in. Would you like a basin full of whey, a curd of whey, or a cup of tea?" And no, it was do it when no everybody couldn't do it when you would no. But I like it. It's a small bit of a cut of bread and butter and it was a hearty meal.
It was. Good meal.
Aye.
We used to do it.
And, what I mean to call was a 3 or 4 blades like that, and putting the cheese on that. Well, now and again, they go along and rub them all like that.
Smooth them.
Smoothing them, and they would say they were keeping better.
Were they kept in muslin or were they just plain?
Hmm?
Were they in muslin?
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, that's of course.
Mm.
But one thing what I was like very much, you know, the outside comes hard. You couldn't bite it. I put it on the fire, I cooked it. Oh.
That would be good. That would be good.
Well,
In Cumvellan, there was a clog maker.
yes,
Was there?
there was one at Llanwinio.
Was there?
Oh, yes. You know the Lamb, the
Yes.
public house? You know the small house beside it?
Yes.
There's a clockmaker there many years.
What timber did they use?
Well, in the country they make it from sycamore.
Mhm.
But there was some kind of a wood and alder.
Yes.
Hmm. They were
With leather tops, or all wood, or with leather tops.
oh no, leather top.
Mm.
There was a father, 3 sons over at Tamboidi there. They used to, what I mean to say, they were not making clubs. They were only making the soles.
Yes.
And they put in the heap and they cut it off some. And it was there where they really make a club.
But up here at Llanwinio.
No,
No.
at Tamboidi.
Yes. Yes,
But
just
this
the
one
cell.
this one at Llanwinio is all sycamore.
Yes.
But I refer now, some of these old people, some of these old people will say, well, they're 60, 70, when I was a lad, say 14, they prefer an order. They say it was more more leather-like than the second. The sycamore one side it got hard under your foot, you know.
No bounce.
So it comes down many years, and then there was no order to be had off in the country now to make a shoe, you know. If you don't mean chopped
too
up.
small.
Yes, if you mean chopped up, you know.
And then the saddler, what happened with the leather? Was that cured here, or did it come in as skins for the clog maker?
Oh, there was a shop selling leather at Carmarthenshire, you know, one at Newcastle, Whitland there, you know. But these old farmers, you know, they used to skin every, say, a sheep day, or a calf, or a horse, or a cow, they skin it and, you ever heard about threshing corn with a flail?
Yeah. I've done
Well,
it.
the old farmers say you to keep a bit of the skin and try to put them flails, you know. And I heard this also, I say many years, say 200 years ago perhaps, they could make horses, say when you're pulling something, they could twist it round and you know, horses dragging along, you got a chain.
Yes.
Well, they got that for a chain.
The cat of the flails.
Yes.
Yes.
But it's a story, you know, it's just a story, of course. You know, in the olden times, these farmers, they were fetching lime from the kiln.
Yes.
Well, I heard one gentleman saying that he was, of course, it was all lies. And he had a cart of 3 horses. And by the time that he came from the kiln, before he got home, there was a big hill of a road. And it rained. And these, you know, in the rain they do, and the horse and the cart was in the middle and the 2 horses on top. But they used to do it, they say, and they say then when they going to fetch coal from the railway, they use chains. But in the, say, harrowing and ploughing, they used to use these.
Use the leathers.
Yes.
And did you have a saddler here in the village?
Yes. Yes, there was saddler living in Carmarthenshire. Harry, saddler we call him.
And the harness and the collars and everything he'd deal with.
Hmm?
He'd do all the harness and
Oh,
collars
yes,
and things.
yes.